Hello to all students. Today we are starting a very important topic related to the botany, and that is the plant anatomy. And in fact I will say that this is the backbone of the biology, and each and every student must have knowledge regarding this topic that is known as the plant anatomy. So in today's video we'll be discussing the outline sketch of the tissues, alright? But before that you must know that what is plant anatomy. Plant anatomy is study of internal structures and organization of the plant body. What is plant anatomy? It is the branch of the biology which deals with study of internal structures and organization of the plant body is called as the plant anatomy. And the father of plant anatomy is N. Grew, and father of Indian plant anatomy is Professor K.A. Chaudhary. Professor K.A. Chaudhary is the father of Indian plant anatomy. Now, whenever we discuss the plant anatomy, we usually study this plant anatomy unit under 4 chapters, right? We study plant anatomy unit under 4 chapters in a systematic way. The number 1 is the tissues. Now, though the name is small, but it is a big chapter, tissues. Second one is the tissue systems. Third one is internal structure of a root, stem and leaf, and the 4th chapter is the secondary growth. Alright, so plant growth unit is divided under 4 chapters: tissues, tissue system, internal structure of root, stem and leaf, and secondary growth. In today's video we will be discussing about the tissues. Okay, we know very well that all organisms, we know that we study in cell biology that all organisms are composed of cells, right? And the organisms may be unicellular or multicellular. Alright, but here in the case of the plant anatomy, because we are studying the tissues, so we will be focusing on the multicellular organisms. Okay, we will be discussing the higher plants which are multicellular. Alright, so we will be focusing on the multicellular creatures which are having many cells, Now, we know very well that in earlier classes we have studied that cells combine to form tissue, tissue combine to form tissue systems, and tissue system forms organs, right? Cells, which are the structural and the functional unit of an organism, combines to form tissue, tissue forms the tissue system, and tissue system forms the organs and all, okay, and the organism. So now we have to focus here on the tissue, that what is tissue. Why? Because our topic is the outline sketch of the tissues, because we have to start a chapter of the plant anatomy, and that is the tissues. Okay, so we must know that what is tissue. So very first we are starting with the tissue. All right, so you must know the definition of the tissue, that what is tissue. So tissue is a group of, what is tissue? Tissue is a group of cells which are common in origin and perform a common specific function is called tissue. Are you getting what I want to say? What is tissue? Tissue is a group of cells. Tissue is a group of cells which are common in origin, Tissue is a group of cells which are common in origin and perform a common specific function is called as a tissue. And this tissue term was given by Engrue, the same scientist who was also known as the father of the plant anatomy. So tissue term was given by the Engrue. Now let's talk about that. How many types of the tissues are there? So tissues are basically classified into two categories. One is known as the meristematic tissues and another are known as the permanent tissues. As in this video we are discussing just the outline sketch of the tissue, so that's why we'll be discussing a little bit about the meristematic and the permanent tissue, but in the next videos we'll be dealing with the meristematic tissues and the permanent tissues in detail. Alright, so let's have a discussion here that what are permanent tissues and what are meristematic tissues. So meristematic tissues are the tissues which have the capacity to divide lifelong, means they are having continuous power of division. Meristematic tissues are the tissues which have the capacity to divide lifelong. They have the power of continuous division. Okay, and that's why the plants can show unlimited growth lifelong. All right, but the permanent tissues lose the power of division. But यहाँ पर there is an exception, that some permanent tissue may divide, means they show de-differentiation. Listen, when the cells get differentiated, then they lose the power of division. But again there are some permanent tissue which can undergo de-differentiation and can again attain the power of division. But in common, when we talk about that what is the chief difference between the meristematic tissue and the permanent tissue, so if we just don't focus on the exception, then the basic difference between the meristematic tissue and the permanent tissue is that meristematic tissue have the capacity to divide lifelong, while the permanent tissue, as the name is indicating, the cells got differentiated and they lose the power of division. Though it is true that there are some permanent tissue which can undergo dedifferentiation and they can also divide. But this point we will be discussing when proper time will come. Alright. Now meristematic tissues are having which type of the cells? So they have immature cells. They have immature cells, and that's why they can divide. They have immature cells, while the permanent tissues have mature cells. They have mature cells, and that's why they cannot divide in general, though some permanent tissues can divide. Again I am telling. So they have immature cells and they have mature cells. They are having the capacity to divide lifelong. They lose the power of division. Alright. Now let's talk about the outline sketch of the tissue. Outline sketch of the tissue, so that in the forthcoming videos it will become easier to understand that what type of the tissues we have to study. So let's have a look on the outline sketch. Alright, it is clear tissues are of two types, meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Now we will be seeing now that how the classification of the tissue occur, how the tissues are classified. Alright, so here I am writing tissue, and tissues are classified into two categories, as you know. One are known as the meristematic tissue, and students will be studying the complete outline sketch of the tissues, complete, alright, which is lacking in many books. Meristematic tissue, and this is permanent tissue. Alright. Now meristematic tissue, as you know very well, that they are having the capacity to divide and they have immature cells. So this meristematic tissue is classified in various ways. The number one is classification of meristematic tissue based on origin and development. Again I am repeating, the meristematic tissue is classified on various behalves. The number one is classification of the meristematic tissue, based on origin and development. So based on origin and development, the meristematic tissue is classified into three categories. One is known as the promeristem. One is known as the promeristem. Second one is known as the primary meristem, and the third one is called as the secondary meristem. Are you getting? So this is the first behalf of the classification, that meristematic tissues can be classified on the basis of origin and development. On the basis of the origin and development, they are of three types. One is known as the promeristem, primary meristem, and secondary meristem. This is the first way of the classification. Now second is classification of meristematic tissue based on plane of division, right? Classification of the meristematic tissue based on plane of division. On the basis of plane of division, again the meristematic tissue can be classified into three categories. Alright, one is mass meristem, one is known as the mass meristem, another is known as the plate meristem. Might be these terms be new for you people, but wait and watch. In the forthcoming videos we'll be discussing each and everything. What we are discussing today in the outline sketch we'll be discussing in detail, right, later. So mass meristem, plate meristem and rib meristem. Alright. Again I am repeating, classification of the meristematic tissue based on plane of division. It is of three types: mass meristem, plate meristem and rib meristem. Now this classification you have heard in class 9th also. Classification of meristematic tissue based on position. This you have heard about these type of the meristematic tissues. Classification of the meristematic tissue based on position. Now based on position, again the meristematic tissue is classified into three categories. In class 9th you have studied apical meristem, then is the apical meristem, then is the intercalary meristem, and the third one is the lateral meristem. Alright. Again, classification of meristematic tissue based on position. It is of three types: apical meristem, intercalary meristem and lateral meristem. And this lateral meristem is again of two types. One is known as the primary lateral meristem, and the second one is secondary lateral meristem. Are you getting? Lateral meristem is again of two types: primary lateral meristem and secondary lateral meristem. And the last one, that the meristematic tissue can also be classified based on function. So classification of meristematic tissue based on function. Classification of meristematic tissue based on function. Again, on the behalf of the function, the meristematic tissues are classified into three categories. The number one is known as protoderm, procambium and ground meristem. Alright. Based on the function, the meristematic tissue is classified into three categories: protoderm, procambium and ground meristem. Clear? So this is the outline sketch of the classification of the meristematic tissue. Alright. You can take a screenshot and then I will remove this thing, and then we'll be coming to the permanent tissue. Is it clear? So meristematic tissue is classified on four behalves: based on origin and development, based on plane of division, based on position and based on function. Alright, is it clear? Now coming to the permanent tissue. Now permanent tissues are classified into basically two categories. Alright. So classification of permanent tissue. Here I am writing permanent tissue, and it is classified into how many categories? Two categories. One is known as simple permanent tissue and another is known as complex permanent tissue. Alright, so permanent tissues are classified into two categories: simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Now the question arises, why the simple is called as simple? Because this is made up of only one type of cell. Simple permanent tissue is made of only one type of cells, hence called simple. And they are formed, complex permanent tissue are called as complex because they are formed of more than one type of cells. They are made up of more than one type of cells, hence called as a complex permanent tissue. Now this simple permanent tissue is classified into three categories. It is classified into three categories. Out of that, number one is known as the parenchyma. Right? And this parenchyma is again classified into various types. Say for number one is, if you might have heard about chlorenchyma. Now parenchyma is again having types. Alright. The first one is the chlorenchyma. Then is the arenchyma. Alright. Then prosenchyma. Stellate parenchyma, then mucous parenchyma, and at the last idioblast. Alright. So simple permanent tissue is classified into three categories. The number one is the parenchyma. Parenchyma is again of various types. The number one is the chlorenchyma, then is the arenchyma, then is the prosenchyma, stellate parenchyma, then the mucous parenchyma, and the idioblast cells. Alright. Now coming to the second one, and that is known as the parenchyma, then is the collenchyma. Collenchyma is of how many types? Again three types: angular, lacunar, and lamellar. Angular, lacunar, and lamellar collenchyma. And the third one is the sclerenchyma. Now sclerenchyma is made up of two types of the cells. One are the sclerites, and the second one is the sclerenchymatous fibers. Alright. So it is clear, collenchyma is three types: angular, lacular, lamellar. Sclerenchyma is having two types of the cells: sclerites and sclerenchymatous fibers. Alright. And parenchyma is of these six types. Alright. Chlorenchyma, arenchyma, prosenchyma, stellate parenchyma, mucous parenchyma, and idioblast. Now if we come to the complex tissue, then complex tissues are broadly classified into how many categories? Two categories. One is known as the xylem and another is known as the phloem. Now xylem and phloem are also tissues now. So they are also made up of cells, right? They are also made up of cells. So xylem is composed of four type of the cells or the components, and the phloem is also made up of four type of the components. Now let's discuss that how many types of the cells are there in the xylem and how many type of the cells are in the phloem. Now the cells found in the xylem tissue. Xylem is a complex tissue now, so it will be having how many cells? Four type of the cells. So xylem itself is having how many components? Four components. The first one is known as the tracheids. The second one is known as the vessels, right? The third one is known as the xylem parenchyma, and the fourth one is the xylem fiber. Out of these four cells, three are dead. Alright, tracheids are dead, vessels are dead, xylem fibers are dead. Only the xylem parenchyma is living in nature. As the name is indicating, parenchyma is the living tissue. Fine. So xylem is having how many? Xylem is having how many cells? Tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma, and xylem fiber. Now coming to the next one, and that is the phloem, the another type of the complex tissue, the phloem. Again it has four type of the cells. One is the sieve tube elements, sieve tube elements, right? And one thing I must clear you here only, that sieve tube elements are present in angiosperms, but in gymnosperms, remember this thing, instead of sieve tube elements, sieve cells are found. So what is the problem with the students, that always when we talk about the phloem, always the students say sieve tube. But in gymnosperms and pteridophytes, instead of the sieve tube elements, they are having the sieve cells. So what I want to say, that in gymnosperms and pteridophytes, instead of the sieve tube elements, they have sieve cells. All right. The second is the companion cells. The second component is the companion cells. All right, companion cells. The third is the phloem parenchyma. All right, and the last one is the phloem fiber. Alright, now out of these four cells, the sieve tube elements or the sieve cells are living, companion cells are living, phloem parenchyma is also living, but phloem fiber is dead. So in the case of the phloem, three components are living, one is dead. Here three components are dead, one is living. So these are the complex tissue, these are the types of the complex tissue. One is known as the xylem, another is known as the phloem. Alright. And now, in extreme cases, there is one more type of this tissue. Until you have studied the simple tissue and the permanent tissue, there is one more special type of the tissue which must also be discussed here, and that is known as the secretory tissue or the specialized tissue. Alright, so we are talking about the secretory tissue or the specialized tissue. Secretory tissue or specialized tissue. Secretory tissue or the specialized tissue. Right? In general, in the textbook you will be not able to see this tissue. Generally the two tissues are shown, meristematic tissue and permanent tissue, right? But this must also be studied, secretory tissue or the specialized tissue. Now this secretory tissue or the specialized tissue is having the function of secretion. As the name is indicating, it is having the function of secretion. And this secretory tissue is classified into two categories. One is known as the lacetiferous tissue. Lacetiferous tissue. And why it is called as the lacetiferous tissue? Because it secretes latex. It secretes latex, and that's why called as lactiferous tissue. And the another one is known as glandular. Another one is known as glandular tissue. Right? The another secretory tissue is called as the glandular tissue. And again, this glandular tissue is classified into two categories. One are known as the external glandular tissue. External glandular tissue, and the second one is known as the internal glandular tissues. Internal glandular tissues. Alright. So as the name is indicating, glandular means it will secrete. Okay. Say for, I will be quoting some examples of internal glandular tissue. Say for oil glands, right? Then mucus glands. Alright. Say for resin glands. right? All are the examples of internal glandular tissue, and the example of the external glandular tissue is the, say for nectaries, what they secrete? They secrete nectar. Alright, so there are various examples also. Oil glands, mucus glands, resin glands are the internal glandular tissue. External glandular tissues are the nectaries and all which secretes the nectar. So these are the secretory tissue or the specialized tissue. Alright, and this lactiferous tissue is again divided into two categories. One is known as the latex vessel, very important. Latex vessel we will be discussing later. Latex vessel and the latex cell. One is known as the latex vessel and another are known as the latex cell. Alright, so this was the entire outline sketch of the tissue. Whenever you study tissues now, you must have at least the total information of all those parts shown here in the outline sketch. So wait for the next video. In the upcoming videos we'll be discussing each and everything right from the meristematic tissue and its classification, and then we'll be coming to permanent tissue. So thanks a lot for watching me.